Hey y'all, welcome to Shine Talks with me, Shine. Before we get started, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, if you want to. But more importantly, hit that like button. I came in today just for a hot second. I just got my hair retwisted, so I got clips and stuff all over my head and it's hurting. But while I was getting my hair done, I was just thinking about some stuff and real quick, we're just gonna jump into this. Um, Pastors, preachers, bishops, superintendents, whatever you want to call them. Um, a lot of stuff is coming to the head in 2024. Now, the crazy thing about it is, it's nothing. I just moved, so if you hear echo, please excuse that. I'm still unpacking stuff and putting stuff up, which is why I haven't been on in a while. But anyway, a lot of stuff is coming to the head in 2024. But again, this stuff is not new. It's more relevant now because it affects us. I remember when I was a kid, different things that was going on in the church, and because it didn't affect me or I wasn't grown, like I never paid attention to it. But I've heard of all kind of things going on in the church. Pastors doing stuff, musicians doing stuff, um, preachers having babies all over the church and having women all over the church and cheating and DL. It wasn't called DL back then, they just did this. Or this. But all of these things have been happening for years. And I mean years. I'm about to be 50. And if I can remember when I was a kid, we talking about 40 years, 40 plus years. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of not mind-boggling. It's nowhere near surprising because I've known of all of these things. But now that we are at an age where it directly affects us or we've been a part of it or something like that, it's like, oh my God, this preacher is doing this, but these preachers been doing this. Like, everybody's known or heard of Cleveland things. We've all heard about the great Pastor Franklin out of Detroit things. We've all heard about bishops in Kojic doing stuff. Like, we've known of these things for years. So I'm not surprised by it. Like, I'm just not surprised by it. Like, when Shane Perry was doing IG or whichever site he was on, he was going off. Like, he was cussing, he was smoking, he done got tattoos. Like, he said some terrible things about the LGBTQIA plus, that's a lot, community, but he was going ham. Like, for real, right? Going ham. So when I saw it, I was like, he another one tired. Like, he's another one that's tired. Like, these pastors and leaders are like tired. And when I say tired, I mean mentally and physically tired, because they're now, like, he's a young guy, but there are some older ones that have discovered that the things that they have been preaching, the things that they have been teaching, the things that they have been told, the practices that they have been doing, some of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but it's a lot of stuff that's not Bible that they've been teaching and preaching and prophesying. When you come into the knowledge that everything that you thought, or most of the things that you thought was one way, and you've been teaching this, and you've been drilling this, and you've been prophesying this, and you've been evangelizing, all of this stuff, all of these years, and then you get into your own studies and it's like, wait a minute, that don't really seem like, one, it makes sense. Two, it doesn't seem true. When you're now saying it, it's like, and then you get around different pastors and different denominations and or the institutions, whatever, then it's like, wait a minute. All this stuff I've been saying, these quotes I've been quoting, this path that I've been following is not really what God has for us. It's not really what God wants me to say to people. Like, that stuff seems weird to them, and they snap. They damn you to hell when you drink. But then the Bible says, drink, but not in excess. And then you have Jesus turning water into wine. But if you have wine, you sinning. But then when you leave church, you go with these other pastors, and the first thing they pouring is cognac. And they got cigars, and they got this. And this girl is over here, but you know he married. And like, you start being introduced to these things, because here's the thing. When you're a new pastor, you don't get invited to the it stuff. You know what I'm saying? You don't get the VIP treatment. You don't get invited to the after affairs. I'm gonna call them, right. I'm gonna call them after affairs. So all of these things you don't know. And then when you get to a certain status, then you start getting invited to these things, to other preachers' houses, and you get to stay past time after service in the back when everybody else is gone, and then everything starts happening, and you start seeing this and you start seeing that, and then you're hearing things that you just preached about, but you got this little boy sitting on your lap, but you just called all of these people to the altar to be delivered. You speak against women and what they wear, and then you have a woman come in your office and she's dressed like she's going to the club, and you start thinking about all of this stuff and all of the things that you were preaching and all of the things that you've been teaching, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. You've heard all of these things about tithing and getting people to bring money and sow this and sow that, and then you get in the back, and they laughing at people who didn't gave it. Yeah, sister such and such, she gave, blah, blah. Like, I believe Bishop Carlton Pearson started seeing all of these things. The more he started doing, the more he started traveling, the more people, bishops and pastors and prophets and stuff that he was around. And he started seeing all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, he had an epiphany when his grandmother died about hell and how this and like, I was talking to somebody yesterday and she said, oh, they got their face all made up in red with red hair looking like Lucifer. I said, but you do know that this Lucifer devil is not red. Like, his skin is not red. And she said, oh, well, he always red like he been drinking, so that's close. I said, but he's not red. We've been taught that the devil is this red person with the pitchfork tail and the horn sticking out and like, the devil don't look like that. When Jesus kicked the devil out, he looked just like him. He looked just like us. We get so caught up in what we've been taught, and we've been taught this so long. And for Halloween, we got the kids in red suits because they the devil, and we painting red stuff on us because that's the devil, and that's not the devil. So when Shane Perry was going off, and I'm like, he got it. All of the things that he's been taught, if you don't do this, you ain't saved. If you don't do this, you can't be a pastor. If you don't do this, you can't preach. And then you find out, or that light bulb goes up in your head, bing! You like, wait a minute. Now you have to go in front of your congregation. You have to go to the people, to the leaders, and explain to them and try to get your people to shift with you. And they're like, no, because my grandma said that. We've been conditioned and taught certain things, and we carry them in everyday life. And we stick to them. That's like superstitious people. Step on a crack, you break your mama's back. I used to step on cracks all the time just to prove my mama's back is fine. You split the pole, like, don't sweep my feet. Don't put your purse on the floor because you're going to be broke. Like, all of these things we've been taught. When it starts thundering and lightning, turn the light off. That's God crying. That's God, the devil beating his wife. Like, all of these things we've been taught. Even me, sometimes if I see the sun shining and it's thundering for like a split second, I go to the devil beating his wife. Or when I'm walking with somebody and I see a pole, I split it on purpose. Because for that split second, it's like, ooh, don't split a pole. I know people who won't keep walking if you split a pole. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy stuff that we've been conditioned to practice. And then when we grow up, not only in age, but in Christ, and we find out that these things are not so, now we have to change our minds. And if we're the leaders, we have to also change the minds of our people. Not only that, we have to deal with that stuff internally. That messes with their minds. Because you've been doing this all of this time, and now you have to change it. You have to condition yourself to do something different. And you've been doing this all your life. You've had these thoughts all your life. You've been quoting these scriptures all your life, and some of them not even scriptures. If you take one step, he'll make two. What passage is that? Like, yeah, it's serious. Like, it's really, really serious. So when he was going off on Larry, I right then, I didn't think, now the LGBT stuff, I was kind of like, ooh, sir, you're going too far. But some of the stuff he was saying, I understood why he was saying it. And then he came on and he apologized, and people like, oh, I don't accept that. No, he lying. No, how would you feel if you went to apologize to somebody about something and people didn't give you that same grace? Now you're mad. They can at least just give me a chance to prove myself. They can at least... You got to give people the same grace that you want. All of these pastors are stepping down because they feel like they've done something. You got people blasting preachers for being caught in whichever situation it is. Like, I don't know. Because we always quote in the Bible and stuff that you shouldn't do this, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. But when it comes to extending grace and forgiving people, we don't have that same mind thought. We want to damn people to hell and expose them and do all of that. When if it was you, what would you want to do? How would you want to be treated? I say he's a big man for even apologizing. That's not only between him and God, but that's between him and Larry. If Larry says, hey, I accept it, then it is what it is. He didn't do nothing to you, so why are you so mad? Now, as far as the LGBTQIA plus community, I can see, some of the reasons why we would be upset. But again, when you high and drunk, those of you that do it, you say some crazy stuff too. A drunk man speak a sober heart. Sometimes. And then sometimes you just mad. If you got all of this stuff on your mind, for instance, if you're driving in the car, you mad at somebody else, you owe money to this company, the credit people calling you, and blah, 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 and somebody cut you off, you can be sober. You gon' cuss them from A to Z. Sober. If you're intoxicated, you're probably gonna fight. But when you could have just smacked him, you done gave him a 3-piece because you're mad at something else. So sometimes in our anger, we lash out at everybody. If it was people calling him on the phone saying different things and taking up for Larry, and you just fed up, the first time you say something, you snapping on everybody. I don't know. Tell me what y'all think. Ooh, these clicks is hurting. Y'all can tell me what you think. If you have not already, hit that like button. Thumbs up. And then, wow, they both got to do a lyric. Charles and Miss Netta. Charles and Miss Netta. I think that was a very good interview. I can tell that, see, people keep trying to say they slow. That's wrong. They not. I saw Miss Netta conduct herself on Larry Reid live show better than I've ever seen her conduct herself. And I think that it was because of who she was in front of. See, the energy that you give off is sometimes the energy that you get back. So if you talking to Charles and Miss Netta and you Charles and Miss Netta, well, Miss Netta going Charles is going to tune out. But when you have somebody that you are having a conversation with, or you're conversing with, whichever you want to use, and they're not bringing that energy to you, you have no choice but to give back the same energy that they're giving you. Like, you can't go off on somebody and talk about their mama and wish them bad luck and wait till they get exposed and you doing this and you doing that, and expect for them not to say, oh, well, you, like, you get it because you give it. I like that. You get it because you give it. I like that. So, like, I think it was a very interesting interview. I don't care what nobody says. I think that it gave an insight on Charles. Charles is not slow by no means. He's a country boy. He's a background kid. He's shy for the most part. He enjoys what he does in the background. But when it's time to speak or interview stuff, then it's like, ooh. Because I'm the same way. When it's background stuff behind the scenes, when I'm recording or doing something behind the scenes, getting this ready or getting that ready or making sure this person is doing what they're supposed to do, I'm good. But when it comes to give Shine the mic, or, hey, we want to say thank you to Shine, she over there, I'll be like, oh. Even doing this is something new for me, just speaking. Even like with the choir, rehearsals, I'd be like, oh God. Sunday mornings, I'd be like, Jesus, everybody looking at me. But I'm doing what I'm doing and your adrenaline is rushing, so you just doing, but when you sit back and think about it, sometimes I can't even remember what I did that Sunday. And people like, ooh, y'all sure sang today. And I'd be like, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just where Charles is. And the more he speaks and the more, they have him doing stuff, the more comfortable he'll be. And once he start talking, y'all ain't gonna be able to stop him. We don't know if it's for a long time, if this is short term, but for whatever it is, they're doing what they're doing, and I commend them for that. Like, everything ain't for everybody. Just because you're doing something one way and it works for you and it's lasted 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, okay. That's why we have one-hit wonders. They had that one hit. And they've been thriving. Alicia Myers has been going around singing same songs for 50 years. It's like 2 or 3 of them. But if somebody just said, I want to thank you, Heavenly Father, everybody goes, for shining your light on me. How long ago was it? So we can't determine a person's success or how or what they're doing. Like, if they do it for 3 more years, okay. If they do it for 10 more years, okay. That's what God put on them. That's their thing. So they gonna do it. Some people been on YouTube 2 years. Some people been on YouTube for 10 years. Some people been on YouTube as long as YouTube been out. Facebook, IG, TikTok, all of that. So, I mean, and Miss Netta, honey, I watches them because Miss Netta tickles me. But that, honey, that takes me out every time she do it. I wish she could put it on the shirt to have a person doing this. Cause, and then the Charles, like, that takes me out every single time. Like, I think it's funny. You might not think it's funny, but I think it's funny. And there's other people that think it's funny, which is why they have a following. You know what I'm saying? We can't make or break nobody. Listen, what they do, honey, is what they do. But I think that when it comes to Miss Netta and the things that she was saying, I enjoy her explaining herself as just being me. She's just her. That's it. And LGBT community, we want to be called and respected as what we say we are. If it's a girl and she got on whatever and she say, hey, I identify as a boy or a man or whatever, then hey, that's what we call him. If it's a boy and he got on makeup and lipstick and whatever and he wants to be called she, then we call him she. Like, if it's a they, we try to respect them and call them they. If they don't want to be called nothing, just call them their name. You know what I'm saying? But people who just be real disrespectful. Oh, Joe. Okay, if Joe wants to be called Netta, then we gonna call Joe Netta. Like, I have friends who have female names, but they want to be called Q. Okay, I'm gonna call you Q. Like, if your name is Jason, but you want to be called Jimmy, then that's what we, you know what I'm saying? That's what we call you. And I think some of some people do it to be spiteful. Some people call Netta Joe and him to be disrespectful. Some people do it to try to be funny. But sometimes when you say you are who you are and a person doesn't respect that, that can be hurtful. Then when she come on and spaz out and go off with a country self, then y'all be like, oh, Miss Netta. That's because, again, you get what you get. And I think for a lot of heterosexual people, it made them understand not only more about the community, but more about individuals and what they identify as and what they want to be called and stuff like that. So I think it was a good interview. I like how they conducted themselves. Of course, Charles was in his phone. I think Charles smoked weed. As a matter of fact, I know he smoked. So, and them edibles. So sometimes Charles don't even be there. Charles be somewhere sitting, swinging his legs. But at the same time, they were both very respectful. When it comes to their manager, they just didn't know. And people took advantage of them. And it happens in the industry all the time, but you have to find out at some point so you will know what to and what not to do going further. What happened to y'all at the BET Awards? Some of y'all ain't going to the BET Awards ever. Y'all not gonna be invited. Ain't nobody gonna trick y'all into going. You will never see BET nothing except for on TV. And everybody that's on the red carpet at the BET Awards or any other awards, just because you're on the red carpet does not mean that you're going to be inside of the actual event. That's gospel, secular, rock and roll, country, whatever. Just because you're on the red carpet does not mean that you're going to be in the main event. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Most of the people, the main artists and the main actresses and stuff like that, that's who's on both the red carpet and in the event. But some people just get invitations to be on the red carpet. And then there are some people who get invitations just to be in the event, just like at a wedding. Everybody that get an invitation to your wedding ain't coming to your reception, and vice versa. Sometimes it shows how ignorant some people are. So that was all. I'm on here way longer than I said I was going to be, but those are just some thoughts that I was having. Like, I had to explain to someone not too long ago the difference between a trans man and a trans woman. This is a heterosexual person who felt comfortable enough with me, like, let me ask you a question. What's a trans man? So I had to explain what a trans man was and what a trans woman was, what a androgynous was, what, like, I had to explain all of that to her, and she was like, oh, because I ain't know, so I just called it, if it looked like a boy, it looked like a girl, that's what I called it. And I said, you can't do that, that's disrespectful. So some people just don't know. And then there are some people that are in the community that are so aggressive when they're asked certain things that people don't even want to ask you. So, yeah, that was all. I can't read all the comments right now because I have to, if I start reading comments and responding, then I'm going to be here longer than I intended on. I've already been here longer than I said that I was, and I have somewhere to go. And I got to get these clips out my hair and finish drying it and get going. So again, if you didn't do it yet, on your way out, hit that like button. They ask for my Cash App. Why you don't ever put your Cash App up? Cash App is $ it's Shun74. That is itsShun74. Simple. Again, thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. Thank you for your Cash Apps. And I will be back this week. Yes, I am still unpacking on top of my father just had surgery, so in and out of town, but I'm going to do some more. Check the community wall, check out the shorts. If I don't do a video or a live or something, I try to at least interact in some type of way. So either the community wall, shorts, there's some polls on there. Go back and watch some old videos, although it's not a live. My subscribers are climbing. I don't want to bring any, well, it will be guests on. I'm not going to say that, but I bring them on when I want to bring them on. Not when you think I should bring them on. Ha ha. I'm building my numbers as God gives them to me. This is not a gospel show. It's not a gospel church, whatever you want to call it. It ain't an LGBT community show. It's not a hip hop. It's a everything show. As long as we are respectful. All right. Thank y'all again. itsShun Talks. Signing off. Bye-bye.